I'm Anil Kumar. Welcome to my series on solution of papers posted by EQAO. Now, EQAO is an independent organization which maintains high standard of education in Ontario. Let me thank them for all the assessment they do and come out with excellent material, and they share that with the public here in Ontario. I'm going to provide solutions of these questions, and I hope they will help some of our junior students to understand how to perform better and improve their scores in mathematics. Now, first, it is very important to understand the instructions right there on the very first sheet. So, when you go through these instructions, it is clearly written here: use pencils only, fill only one circle for each question. Fill the circle completely, like shown here. Cleanly erase any answers you wish to change, right? So that is for the multiple choice questions. And then we also have open response questions where you should provide complete details to support your answer, right? Now, in providing my solutions, I'm going to use ink pen, mainly because you could see it properly, right? That's the only reason, but you should be filling it only with pencils. That is very important to understand. Okay, let's begin with the very first question here, which is, it's a very small print for you, but I'll read it. Which decimal number is equivalent to 2 over 5? Four choices are given to you: 0.25, 0.40, 2.5, and 5.2. We are looking into the fraction 2 over 5, right? To get it to decimal, you could divide 2 by 5. You could also do something like this. If you multiply both by 2, what do you get? You get 2 times 2 as 4 and 5 times 2 as 10. So what do you see here? 4 over 10 should be equal to 0.4. Does it make sense? So that gives you the second option as the right option. Now the circle has to be completely filled as I'm trying to do. Perfect. So I hope that helps. Now let's move on to question number 2. What is the area of the triangle? Now in this triangle, we are given so many sides. The base of 18 centimeters, height of 12 centimeters. Now these are two important sides to look into. Ignore the other ones, right? So what we should look into? Base and the height. These are the two sides which help us to find the area. And what is the area of a triangle? Area of the triangle is half of base times height, right? Now in this case, the base is 18, so we have to do half of 18, right? And multiply that by height of 12 centimeters, right? Do not use these numbers on the other sides. So that gives you, when you cancel this, you get 9 times 12, which is 108. So the option 3 is the right option. It doesn't make sense to you, right? Now let's move on and take up question number 3. Now in question number 3, it says two shrinking patterns are shown. That means they are decreasing. Pattern A, 2180, 1830, 1480, 1130, and so on. And pattern B over here is 10 240, 5 120, 25 60, 1280, and so on. Which of the following numbers will be in both patterns? And we are given 4 choices. Now in such a question, what should you do? Well, the best way is to create the pattern. So let's begin with 2180, right? And then we have 1830. This is one pattern. 1480, right? 1130. So that is one pattern. See what is happening here. The other pattern is 10 240. And then we have 5 120. After that, we have 25 60. Then we have 12 80. Clearly, this pattern, we see that they are reducing by half the number. So we can keep on dividing this and get rest of the numbers, right? So half of 1280 will be 640. Divide this by 2 again. We get 320. Again divide by 2. We get 160. Divide by 2. we get 80. Divide by 2, we get 40. So these are the terms in the second list. Now in the first list, what is the trend? Well, let's compare. So if you compare these two numbers, what do you notice? 0 take away 0 is 0. 3 take away from 8 is 5. And then when you take away 1 from 4, it is 350. Well, let's try to do it between the other two also. What we notice here is that if I add 350 to 1480, I do get 1830. So that difference is also 350. And previous to that, 2180 take away 1830 will also give you 350. So that means this pattern is decreasing by 350. So you have to take away 350 from your numbers. So again, if you do minus 350 from the given number, what do you get? Right? So taking away 0 will give us 0. Then we have 12 here. 12 take away 5 is 7. And we are left with 10. 10 take away 3 is, 12 take away, so we have 13. 13 take away 5 is 8, right? So it's not 7. 13 take away 5. We didn't borrow from here. And then here, we have borrowed 1. So 10 take away 3 is 7. So we get 780. Let's take away 350 also from here. So if you take away 50 from 80, you get 30. And 3 from 7, you get 4. So you get 430. Again, if you take away 350, then 0, 0. And from 13, we have to take 5. That gives us 80. So what you get here is 80. On comparison, you see that 80 is in both the list, right? So the answer should be 80. Is that clear? So this question is slightly difficult. You have to take away, complete the list, and then get your answer. It might take some extra time for you. Now let's move on and take question number 4. Question number 4 is, the average monthly temperature for 4 months is shown in the graph. So that is the temperature in degrees Celsius, and these are the months. The question for you is, what is the difference between lowest and highest temperatures during these 4 months? So we have to find the difference between lowest and highest temperatures, right? So that is the question for you. So let me try to focus this for you. So we need to find the difference between the lowest and the highest temperatures during these 4 months. So let's figure this out. So let's identify what is the lowest temperature and what is the highest temperature. So this gives you the lowest temperature, which is, the scale is 16, 18, 20. So this lowest temperature is 18. The highest temperature is right there, which is 26 and 1, 27. So that is 27. We want to find the difference. Difference between these is 9. So 9 is your answer. Is that clear, right? It is important to note that the scale here is given by 2's, right? So that is very important. 9, just fill up the circle with your pencil, not with the pen. I'm using pen so that it's very clear for you when you see my video. Question number 5. A bean plant grows 0.7 centimeter each day. Which length is closest to the total growth of the plant in 1 month? So in 1 month, we'll take how many days? We'll take 1 month equals to 30 days in general. Is that okay? Now it is 0.7 each day multiplied by 30 gives you the total growth, right? So when you do 3 times 7, you get 21, and that decimal moves, right? So we get 21 centimeters as our answer. Is that clear? So that is the answer for this particular question. Now when you multiply a decimal number, then think like this. 0.7 with 30 means 3 times 10. So it should be treated like this. 0.7 times 10 will give you 7, and then times with 3 gives you 21. Think like this to get the right answer. I hope that makes sense. Let's move on and take Question number 6. Question number 6. These are the left side, front and top views of a 3D figure made of connecting cubes, right? So you see left side, we get 2 blocks at the bottom, and this side is 3 blocks. Front view, in the front we have 3 in the bottom, one side is 3 up, and top view L-shaped, right? That is given to you. The question here is, how many cubes are needed to make this figure? Now this is also a very tricky question. So what I did was, to make you understand, I brought the blocks for you, right? So this is the block. So we'll try to build the left side and the front and the top. So if you see the left side, we are having 3 blocks there, right? So 2 at the bottom and then 1 over the other, kind of like this. Does it make sense to you? So that becomes the left side, right? So let me just push this a bit more so that you can see clearly. We have used 3 blocks and made the left side, correct? And now let's complete the front. So if I place 2 here, we get 3 in the front. And if you look from the top, then also you see what is shown there. 3 here and 1 there. That means in all, you need 6 blocks. So the answer is minimum of 6. So that is the answer for us. So let's mark 6 and move on to the next question. Correct? So the right answer here is 6. You need to practice a bit more for similar questions. Every year this type of question is being asked, correct? So it is a very important question to tackle. Question number 7 here is, juice is spilled on this table. The total area is 12 meters square. Which is the best estimate of how much of the laptop is covered by the juice? Clearly it is half of it, right? So we'll go for half of 12, which is 6 meters square. Correct? So some are easy questions, so you can quickly move through them and take your time when there are thinking questions like we had just now, the question number 6. Let's move on and take question number 8 onwards. Question number 8. It is an open response question, not a multiple choice. So when you answer this question, you need to explain what you're trying to do, right? Question 8 is, the values of 4 points are given. Point A, 6 over 5. Point B, 7 over 10. Point C, 2.5. Point D is 12 over 4. Plot and label these points on the number line. So that is the first part. The second part here is, draw and label point E on the number line so that it is between point C and D. So somewhere in between these 2 points, right? What is the value of point E? So it's an open question. You need to figure out what could be point E. Let's first begin with plotting the points. Point A is 6 over 5. So when you look into 6 over 5, you could also see this as 1 whole and then 1 out of 5. That is one way of looking at it. You could also convert this to decimal numbers, right? So it is definitely more than 1, 6 over 5, improper fraction. So you get 1 point. When you divide by 5, you get 2. So it is 1.2, right? So that is 1.2. That is another way of looking into it, correct? So 6 over 5 could be seen as 1 whole, 1/5. That means it will be more than 1 and then 1/5. Now there are 10 divisions, right? So 1 over 5 is 2 out of 10. So basically that becomes the point, right? So 1 whole, you could also write this as 1.2, or at present we'll write this as 6 over 5 and the point A. Does it make sense to you, right? So it is 1 whole and 1/5 or 0.2. Now let's look into 7 over 10. 7 over 10 could be seen as 0.7. Definitely less than 1.7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that becomes your 0.7 or 7 over 10, and that is your point B. Clear? Now point C is 2.5. So 2.5 could be treated as 2.5 could be treated as 2.5. decimal values are good if you could write. So 2.5 is right there in between 2 and 3. So you could write this as 2.5. Clear? And this is point C for you. Point D is 12 over 4. So what is 12 over 4? When you divide 12 by 4, you get a whole number, 3. So that becomes the point D. Now, you need to write a point E somewhere in between. So you could choose any one of them, right? So let us say we choose this as our point E. Then how could you write this? It is definitely more than 2. So 2.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you could write this as 2.8. Do you see that? Also, the other way of writing this will be 2 wholes, and we have gone up by 2 divisions, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5, right? So if you divide this into 5, you could write this as 2, 4 over 5. You could also write this as 2, 8 over 10, right? 8 over 10, which is same as 2, 4 over 5. So these are different ways in which you could write your point E, which I have just selected. So you can place any one of these values here. So we'll place 2.8 as our answer, right? So this answer should be placed also at the bottom of the page, which is right here. So we'll write here also 2.8, right? So that is how we're going to respond to this open response. If you explain like this, then you might get good marks. Now here is another open response question. It is question number 9. A design is made using a single shape and applying a transformation to create the next shape. So that's the design. 1, 2, 3, 4 are pieces joined together. Draw any lines of reflection and plot any points of rotation on the design. Now it's very important to understand what is written here, right? So you need to draw lines of reflection if there are any, and plot any points of rotation on this particular design. Now, name and describe each transformation in the table. Be sure to reference any line or point you have drawn, correct? So these are the transformations of the shape, type of transformation, and the description. The very first one here is from shape 1 to shape 2. So this is your shape 1 and this is your shape 2. What do you think is the transformation? Well, you can see that it's a reflection on this particular line, right? So we could mark this line. Let's call this line as line L, right? So let's line L. So the type of transformation is reflection. On line L, right? So that is the description. So reflection will come here and its description will come here. Reflection on line L, right? So that is how you're going to describe it. I hope it is absolutely clear. You can actually pause the video, answer this question further, and then look into my suggestions. Now let's move this page a bit to see how to describe this transformation from 2 to 3, right? So I've just adjusted the page. Shape 2 to shape 3, that is from here to there. So what do you think has happened when you move from 2 to 3? Well, it seems that at this point we're trying to rotate it clockwise. So this block comes down, the whole thing comes like this. So we can call this point as, let's say, point O, right? So we can write this as a rotation, and this direction is clockwise. So we can say rotation clockwise about O by 90 degrees, right? So that is a 90 degrees rotation which takes place. You could write rotation 90 degrees clockwise about O. You could write like that also. Perfect. Now let's look into shape 3 and 4. How are shape 3 and 4 related? So that seems to be a translation, right? So you could just translate from 3 to 4. So I'll write this as, because exactly same shape, so it is translation. By how many units? Well, this portion here moves by 1, 2 units, right? This portion moves 1, 2. So every portion moves by 2 units, right? So it is translation by 2 units, right? Correct? So that is how you're going to describe this. So I hope it is absolutely clear. Perfect. Let's move on and take question number 10 now. Question number 10 is also an open response question. It says, a bag contains 1 red, 3 blue, 4 yellow, 5 orange, and 7 purple marbles. Without looking, Sarah chose 1 marble from the bag. Which color has a 0.25 chances of being chosen? Justify your answer, show your work for each color of marble. Okay, let's rewrite what is given to us. So we are saying that we have 1 red. So let's write down 1 red, okay. 3 blue, 3 blue. 4 yellow, 4 yellow. 5 orange. 7 purple. What is the total number of balls? It's important to write total always when we are thinking about probability, right? So it says, so what is the total? 1 plus 3 is 4, 4 plus 4 is 8, 8 plus 5 is 13, plus 7 is 20. So there are 20 balls in all. Now 20, we want to look for something which color has 0.25 chances of being chosen. That means 25%. That means 20 divided by 4, right? Quarter. 25% is quarter, right? So that is 5. So the answer should be 5 are orange balls, right? So justify your answer, show your work. Which color? So it is the orange color. Has a 0.25 chance of being chosen, correct? 0.25 actually means 25 out of 100, right? Which is 1 out of 4, right? So 1/4 of 20 is 5, correct? So that is how we get 5, and the 5 number matches with orange. Does it make sense to you, right? So that is how we are going to answer this question, and we have to fill it up right there. The color that has 0.25 chances of being chosen is orange. Clear? Now, next part of this question is determine the probability that the marble selected is either red or purple. So we want either red or purple. How many balls are there for red? Well, for red there is 1, and for purple it is 7. So if you add 1 and 7, you get 8. So probability will be favorable outcomes are 8, right? And total is 20, right? That is what it is. It is the ratio of favorable over total, which is 8 over 20. Now you could divide both by 4, right? So if we divide both by 4, you get 2 out of 5, right? You get 2 out of 5. Or you could also say 2 out of 5 could also be written as, if you multiply by 100, right? This goes 20 times, it is 40%. So either way, you could write your answer. Perfect. So the answer will be written here, which is probability the marble is either red or purple is 40%, or we can say 2 out of 5. Does make sense to you, right? So that is how we are going to answer this particular question. I hope the concept is absolutely clear. Let's move on and take question number 11. The question number 11 is, at week 1, Joe has $8 in savings. His total savings increase each week by the same amount. This graph shows his total savings up to week 4. So that is your week 4, and these are the savings, right? So this is $26 at present. Now, the question here is, what is the total amount of money that Joe will have saved in 7th week? So we want what will be the amount in 7th week. That is what we need. Okay, let's try to figure this out. So let's go with the graph, right? We see a trend. So as you're moving out, you're going up by how many divisions? 1, 2, 3, and 2 right. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, and 2 right. Do you see that point? Right. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, and 2 right. Correct. So we're just following the path. 1, 2, 3, and 2 right. 1, 2, 3, and 2 right. Correct. So you see a pattern here. Now for 7, let me use another ink just to show you. This is week 7. And the amount is 44, correct? So the Joe's total saving at week 7 are $44, right? The work is shown right there, so we'll plot the points. And read from the graph, correct? Which is 44 for 7 weeks. So that is how we are going to get the answer. The next part to this is, at which week will Joe's total savings be $68? Now we need to find $68 and which week. Well, the graph ends at somewhere here around 50, right? We have to go up to $68. How do we go? So let's read from 44 onwards, right? So 44. So every time, how much is it increasing by, right? So what we noticed was, see, starting from 8, for example, the next figure was each division's 2 units, right? 2, 4, 6, 6 up, right? So 44, and then we had 50. We have to add 6 each time. 44 was for the 7th week. For the 8th week, it will be 50. Then again 6 will be 56. And then 6 will be 62. And then 6 will be 68. And what is the week number for us? 9, 10, and 11. So that is when you're going to get $68. So you're going to get it on your 11th week, correct? So that becomes the answer. So now let me put it right there where it is required to be placed. So we'll get it at the week 11th, right? So that is how you're going to answer it. I hope that is absolutely clear. And that work which I've done here should be shown right at the bottom. Clear? Now let's take question number 12. Question number 12. Which of the following polygons has sides that are all equal in length and no right angles? Square, rectangle, isosceles trapezoid, and equilateral triangle. So clearly it is equilateral triangle, right? So that is the right answer. It has all equal sides and no right angle, correct? So that is the equilateral triangle. All equal sides and no right angles. Question number 13. Trang earns money babysitting for 4 nights. She earns $23.45 for the first night, $25.65 for the second, and $32.35 for the third. She earns 100 in total. Which of these is the best estimate of how much Trang earns in the fourth night? So we have to take away the total from 100. So let's add the amounts which are given to us. 23.45 will add to this 25.65, and then we have 32.35. So when you add them all, 5, 5, 10 and 5, 15, 6 and 4, 10 and 4, 14, we get 4 and 5, 9 to 11, and we get here 3, 4, 5 and 3, 8. So that is for 3 nights. To get it for the fourth night, we'll have to take away from 100. The amount is 81.45. So when you take away this amount, you get here 5. From 9, you get 5 again. From 9, you get 8. And from 9, you get 1855. Now 1855 is closest to which amount? Well, it is closest to 20. So it is approximated. So we'll write 20 as our answer, right? So that is how we are going to do it. So it's rounded to the ones place. Question number 14. This graph shows the favorite sports for students in a school. Number of students, and these are the games. And the bar graphs show boys and girls, basketball, baseball, hockey, and soccer. Which sport was chosen by the most students in total? So we have to add the numbers. For basketball, it is 15 and 15. So if you add 15 and 15, you get 30. Well, this is much lesser. Let's see what is for hockey. It is 25 and 15. So when you add 25 and 15, you get 40, which is much higher, right? Right. So this is 30 plus 5, which is 35, which is much lower. So 40 is the highest for hockey. So we'll fill in hockey, right? So that is how we are going to answer this question. I hope it makes sense. Let's move on and take the next question now. We are almost at the end. Last 4 questions for us. Question number 15. What will the 9th term of this pattern be if it continues to decrease by the same amount? So we have 96, 84, 72, 60. So the amount by which it is decreasing is what? You need to figure this out. So when you take away, what do you get, right? So from 96, when you take away 84, you get 2 and 112. So 12 is the difference, right? So you do minus 12 each time to get to the next number, right? So 12, when you take away from 16, when you take away 10, it is 50. When you take away the next number, 2, it is 48. It's multiple of 12, as you can see also, right? Then again, if you take away 12, what do you get? You get 36. Again, taking away 12 will give you 24. Taking away 12 will be 12. And then we have 0. Well, what do we need? We need the 9th number in this pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have 0 as our answer. Option 1. Correct? The next question here is, Tyson empties 6 jugs of milk into a container. Each jug contains 4 liters of milk. He uses the container of milk to fill cartons. Each carton requires 250 milliliters. So you need to understand what is 250 milliliters and what is 1 liter, right? So 250 milliliter is 1/4 of a liter, right? That is very important to understand. So let's read it again. Tyson empties 6 jugs of milk. So it is total 6 jugs of milk into a container. Each jug is 4 liters times 4 liters, right? So we get 24 liters of milk, right? Now this milk is being filled into cartons which are 1/4 of a liter. how many cartons will he be able to fill? So it should be 4 times 24, right? So it should be 24 times 4. That gives you 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 2 is 8 and 1, 9. So 96 is our answer, right? So that is the option which we need to fill. So this is the complete question, right? So I purposely wrote it on the top so that you could see it easily, right? So just to be understood that there are 6 jugs of milk and each has 4 liters of milk. 6 times 4 is 24 liters. And what we have here is 250 milliliters, which is 1/4 of a liter, quarter of a meter. So 1/4 means 24 will go 4 times to fill them up. Perfect. Okay. Now here is question number 17, which is, what is the surface area of this rectangular prism? So we are given length, width and height. To find surface area, we know we have 6 surfaces, right? Top, bottom are same, sides are same, front and back is also same. So what we could do is, we can say, well, let's start with top and bottom. So top plus bottom, which is 2 times, right, will be how much? Both are same, right? Top and bottom. You have to multiply 14 by 10 to get it. So 14 times 10 and then again by 2, because we are talking about 2 surfaces. 14 times 10 is 140. 280 will be our total, right? So it is 280. Clear? Now let's talk about these sides. Now these sides you have to multiply 12 by 10. So let's say we say sides left plus right. Okay, so we have 12 times 10 and 2 of them, so it is 120 and double that means 240. Now let's talk about front and back. So front plus back is how much? The front side is 14 times 12. We have to multiply this by 2, right, and get our number. Slightly difficult. Let's try to do it on the side, right? So 14 times 12. So first multiply by 2. 2, 4 is 8 and this is 2, right, 28. And then you write 14 here, shifting it a bit. And then you add them up. 168. Multiply 168 by 2. 2 times 8 is 16. 1. 12 and 1, 13. 1. 336. So that is 336. Add them all. Total surface area, right? So we get 6 here. 8 and 4, 12. And 3, 15. 5, 1. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 856, which is this option. So that is how you get your answer. Is that clear? A lot of work required and it is expected since you're almost at the end. Perfect. So that is how you're going to show all your work and do the question. The last question here is question number 18, which is, what value of m makes this equation true? 72 minus 16 equals to 8 times m. Now what is 72 minus 16 equals to? Well, borrow, so it becomes 6. 12 take away 6 is 6, and from 6 if you take away 1, it is 5. So on the left side you get 56. Now we know 8 times 7 is 56. So our answer is 7. Does make sense to you, right? So that is how we are going to answer this question. I hope you understood and you enjoyed the solution of each question. It is very important to understand these concepts, since most of the time we get similar questions. I will also provide you with a link where we could have more practice questions on same type so that it helps you for your own EQAO practice. Feel free to write your comments, share your views, and if you like and subscribe to my videos, that would be great. Thanks for watching and all the best.